What if your customers are trying to find your business online, but instead of finding you, they find your competitors? Now, more than ever, it's time to make sure you have the right SEO to make your business stand out online. Welcome to Go Mind Your Business with Terry Bork, presented by Extreme Marketing Concepts, putting your business in front of the hungry herd of buyers who are looking for you right now. Extreme Marketing Concepts, helping you drive more traffic, dominate the market, and crush your competition. And now, here's Terry.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Go Mind Your Business on All Your Business Radio, brought to you by the TalkWad Network. My name is Terry Bork, and I am really happy to be with you all again today. My special guest today is Chris Hugas, owner of Garden Living Designs. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
I'm great, Terry. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about being here.
Good. I'm really excited to have you here today as well. Chris, like I said, is with Garden Living Designs, and he's going to talk to us about transforming your yard into a showcase that you can enjoy for this winter season that we're having, which is absolutely glorious, and then throughout the entire year as well. And we're going to find out how simple it is to truly create that yard of your dreams. Our show today is brought to you by Extreme Marketing Concepts. Extreme Marketing Concepts helps put the hungry herd of buyers who are looking for your business in contact with you online. So give them a call for all of your internet marketing needs. You can reach Extreme Marketing Concepts at 813-863-1452. So again, I'm speaking with Chris Hugas of Garden Living Designs, LLC. You can visit his website at gardenlivingdesigns.com. I want to tell you a little bit about Chris before we get started on our program today. Chris is the founder and president of Garden Living Design, LLC. He designs and builds beautiful outdoor living spaces, including patios, pools, walls, outdoor kitchens, and garden structures. His clients can relax while he coordinates and oversees their project from concept through construction, and he believes that his clients should be able to build the yard of their dreams without the stress of dealing with contractors or the problems that could come up. He takes total ownership of the projects that he does, and he ensures that everything is built right, and he proactively addresses any issues. Chris has served as the secretary-treasurer, vice president, mentoring coordinator, post-meeting visitor host, issues champion at the BNI Movers and Shakers chapter in Tampa, Florida. And he's also a director consultant for BNI West Central Florida. Chris has a degree in mechanical engineering from Lafayette College in Eastern Pennsylvania, and he's been a project manager for over 32 years. During his career, he's worked at Exxon Research and Engineering, an interior construction company in New York City, and a pharmaceutical consulting company, and a landscape architect both in New Jersey and in Tampa. And something really cool about Chris is when he's not working in a garden, he can be found playing a trumpet, and he's played at over 15 different musicals over the past couple years, and he's wonderful. I've seen him play down at the Carrollwood Cultural Center, and it's fantastic. He also has a lovely wife named Linda and a really fun Kerry Blue Terrier named Tully. And Chris loves to travel. He tries to spend at least 2 weeks traveling around the world, and he's a tennis follower, and his goal is to see every tennis Grand Slam tournament at least once. Chris attributes his success to honesty, integrity, and treating everyone with respect and enjoying something beautiful every single day. And again, Chris, welcome to our program. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks, Terry. Like I said, even though it's a beautiful day out there today, and I would kind of like to be outside, I'm really happy to be here with you today.
Oh, good. You know, it's funny. The weather today, it's reminding me of like late February, early March weather. It's so gorgeous. This is not January weather.
We'll take it.
Oh, absolutely. Not complaining one bit. So yeah, this is absolutely the reason why I'm down here. And, I'm in a new home, and I have a new garden, and wanting to be in this new house, looking outside going, ooh, what can I do? What can I do? So I think lots of people now are going outside going, ooh, what can we do?
It's a good time to plan. It's a very good time of the year to
Absolutely.
plan.
So let's talk about garden living designs. What's a typical project look like for you?
Um, there's a couple different types of projects, but my typical project is multiple items in a project
Hmm.
because what I most enjoy about my job is coordinating things. If you're just going to get a landscape done, I've got some great landscaping contacts who can just put in plants for you.
Hmm.
But if you've got a more complicated project where maybe you're putting in a pool or a patio, um, you want to do the landscaping, lighting, maybe you want to put in a little gazebo, those kinds of things require some coordination. And those are the kinds of projects that I enjoy. And that's what I look for in a typical project.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. Oh, so there's lots of different types of things. You're not locked into one type of project specifically. It can be,
No, not at all.
even folks who are just like considering what could we do,
Oh, yeah.
they can give you a call.
I love to do master plans. So
Uh-huh.
I think it's if you've got a new property or if you just want to see what the possibilities are with your existing home, I think it's important to do a master plan. And
Hmm.
I'll come into a client, look at the yard, just kind of see what I see in my vision
Right.
and talk to them about how they want to use the yard, what kinds of things they do, what kinds of things they would like. And based on that, then I can kind of come up with a plan for them, lay it out, kind of start to finish, how many different components, what they would cost, when they could do, what would make sense in terms of a sequence.
Oh, I got that. Okay. Terrific. So, when folks call you in and they say, "Hey, we have a project for you, Chris," how long does a project typically take?
That's a good question. um, and obviously, the obvious answer is always it depends.
Sure, sure.
Um, but on a typical project for me, the design process usually takes maybe a month or two.
Uh-huh.
Depends on how complex it is and how many components there are and how available the clients are.
Sure.
I've been working with a couple down in St. Pete. We started working in October.
Mhm.
We're looking at their pool, and we're probably going to actually remove the existing pool and put in a brand new pool.
Okay.
So it took a little bit of time for us to figure that out. We wanted to see what the options are, what some of the pricing was. That
Okay.
project, all told, will probably take probably 6 to 8 months from start to finish. A typical project probably takes about 6 months,
I got it. Okay.
but they can go a year or even a little bit longer than that.
Okay. Is there any good time to start a project or just whenever you decide this is the time?
Um, I think it's better to start earlier because the planning is really what's key.
Mhm.
Um, if you come to me in March and say, I need to get plants in before my daughter gets married in April, that's probably not going to be a good
Okay.
idea. But if you're thinking longer term, I want to use this piece of property for this type of thing for years to come. I like to do planning in the winter season because that's you can't really do planting. You can do some planting, but that's not the kind of thing you would do in the winter months.
Right.
So it's actually a good time to do planning, and actually some of the hardscape construction is a good thing to do in the winter as well. So,
Okay.
but you are right. It's whenever you're ready for it because that really determines, how are we going to move forward?
Mhm.
What are the next steps going to be? So that really, it's really up to the client.
I got that. Okay. Perfect. Is it expensive to hire you to come in and manage a project?
Um, Not really. I look at it as every time I do a project, I try to make sure that each part of my proposal is a fixed price. So the client always knows how much they're going to pay for me.
Right.
Doesn't matter if the project is bigger or smaller. I give them one price up front, of course, dependent on the components,
Right.
but that price is fixed for that phase of the project. And I break every project into 3 phases: design, um, bidding, and construction.
Okay.
So for each of those components, again, depends on how big the project is, but a typical design will cost between $300 and up to maybe $1,200 for a
Mhm.
design.
Right.
Once we get through that design process, I'll give another proposal for the bidding process to go out and actually get the contractors involved in terms of who's going to do the construction.
Right.
Again, that's going to depend very much on how complex the project is.
I see.
Same thing with the construction. If it's if we're just doing a small project, it may only take a couple weeks,
Mhm.
and my fee is going to be relatively low. If it's a project that's going to take a year, I have to account for the amount of time that I'm going to be on the project.
Got it. Okay, perfect. How about, when they're ready to move forward, they've approved the design and they're ready to move on. Do you have a construction crew that's going to come in and start doing that process for you, or how does that happen?
Um, Good question. Most companies that do something similar to what I do actually have a design build company. So
Okay.
they actually do the design and then they build the project for you as well.
Mhm.
There's some advantages to that. There's some disadvantages to that. I've kind of chosen to not have a design build company. I actually will go out and solicit bids for all the different components of the project. That gives me a lot of flexibility. It also lets me pick the best person for that particular type of project. So I'm
Okay.
not tied to a specific contractor for
Okay.
an individual project.
I see.
So I don't have my own crews. I definitely have contractors that have had success with in the past, and I'll allow them to bid on the project. But there's no relationship between me and the contractors, and
Okay.
that's one of the things I think is an advantage to doing the job the way I do it.
Okay. That makes sense to me. So tell us, I shared a little bit about your background in my introduction of you. However, I'd like to learn a little bit more about your background and your qualifications. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for us?
Sure. I am a mechanical engineer. I went to Lafayette College. Uh, Loved mechanical engineering, but mostly because of what it taught me how to do in terms of the breadth of what to do, how to do things, and the analytical side of things. I've always been very analytical. I've loved
Mhm.
that aspect.
Yeah.
When I went to work for Exxon,
Mhm.
it was in the project management department. And every job I've held since I graduated from college has been related to project management in some sense. So at Exxon, I was managing, from a cost perspective, I was managing projects, large projects. I had the last project I worked on there, the field project was a $150 million job in Texas.
Oh, wow.
I also managed a computer program that allowed us to estimate um, pricing for our projects, and that was more of a software type of a project management. We did development,
Uh-huh.
we did user interface, we did teaching how to use the program. I did that all over the world.
Sure.
So
Wow.
again, but it was more of a project management type of a situation where I was
Mhm.
managing the team of programmers.
Okay.
I then went on and worked for a construction company in New York City, again, in a project management perspective. I got my certification as a project manager, and I actually started a project management office at the pharmaceutical consulting company. In that company, I was actually managing a team of consultants at J&J,
Mhm.
and we were doing FDA compliance projects. So again, I was doing project management work, but it didn't particularly I didn't like the end result of the projects because I
Mhm.
couldn't see something.
Sure.
So my next job was actually to go work for a landscape architect in New Jersey,
Mhm.
and I did it as an intern. And they were a design build contractor,
Right.
so I got to see the whole array of things. I got to see how my background I could actually apply that project management background to actually managing projects that were landscaping oriented. And I always loved doing landscaping projects myself. So it was kind of a natural progression. And when I moved to Florida, I
Mhm.
mean, this is a
This is
perfect
it
environment
outside, yes.
for doing this type of project. And again, I found a landscape architect that I worked with for a number of years. I did the construction side of the projects, and he was the designer. So it was a fantastic experience, and it really allowed me to see how I could apply that project management background into how I work with clients, work with contractors. It's pretty seamless actually.
Mhm. Okay, great. Get that. If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Chris Hughes of Garden Living Designs, LLC. If you have questions about your landscaping and how you can make it just beautiful this summer and for always, you can give him a call by calling 813-951-5380. So, Chris, does it matter how large or small someone's property is?
I actually, you might be surprised, but I actually like the small yards
Uh-huh.
because it's more of a challenge.
Mhm.
From a logistical standpoint, it's more interesting, and that's one of the things I love about my job is coordinating those projects. So it doesn't really matter whether it's small or large. The complexity of what you can achieve in a bigger space is obviously a little bit more interesting.
Mhm.
Um, but the challenge of doing what somebody wants in a smaller space is also, I find it really rewarding. So
Sure.
a lot of projects that I do in South Tampa have that challenge,
Right,
and
right.
it's very interesting to do that, I think.
Oh, excellent. So large or small, you'll work them all. Yes,
Yes.
there we go. Okay, got a new commercial going for you.
I like it. I like it.
And now, once the project's completed, what happens? Is there maintenance that you handle and follow up on, or guarantees, or how does it work?
That's an excellent question because that's obviously one of the concerns a lot of clients have.
Mm-hmm.
If I put some plants in or I put a patio in or a pool, what happens at the end?
Mm-hmm.
And the contractors have a contract directly with my homeowners.
Okay.
So there is a tie to them, to the contractors directly. But I always work with my clients to get involved in that process. So if they do have a problem, again, my goal is to make it easy for them to do their project. And then after the fact, I'll try to take care of the maintenance issues for them as well in terms of guarantees
Okay.
for actual maintenance. So if you had yard maintenance
Uh-huh.
that you were interested in, I've got a whole slew of people that I recommend to do some of that kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'll work with them to tell them how they should do things. Um, Landscaping is notorious for just, somebody will go in and just hedge clip everything.
Oh,
I'll work with the landscapers and say, this is how this should be taken care of for this project. I don't limit them from what they can do on their other projects, but I talk to them about what my expectations are for that particular project.
okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And then, so why is that why someone would not want to do a project themselves and they would want to hire you so that they don't get the hedge, clip?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there's a lot
I'm
more than
sure,
just
of
that, but
course, I'm a little biased,
right,
but
right, right, right.
no, the reason that clients actually come to me is usually they're too busy to do something
Mhm.
themselves. They may have a very complicated project and they have no idea where to start or how to start.
Uh-huh.
Um, the other thing is that they don't necessarily have the expertise. They may
Okay.
have done planting all their lives, but to actually come up with a cohesive plan that does what they want it to do, and maybe it's low maintenance or it requires very little water. There's a lot of different parameters for landscaping in itself. The same thing with hardscaping. What kind of maintenance do you want for your pergola? Do you want a metal structure that you don't have to really do much to?
Mhm.
Do you want a wood structure because you like the look of it and you have to have the associated maintenance with that?
Okay.
Those are all things that I kind of bring to the table when I work with a client.
I
I
see.
talk to them about what their expectations are and how we can make it work for them.
Okay.
But not everybody has that expertise, and
Mhm.
I wouldn't expect them to. I don't know about web design very well, so I go to an expert when
Right,
I
right.
need that done.
I got it. I got it. Can you share with us, so many people talk about Florida friendly landscape. What does that really mean? And then do you build that?
Yes, obviously, I do build that. I've had actually a couple of clients who have come to me specifically for the landscaping, and while I don't typically do simply a landscaping project,
Mhm.
I have done a couple of those projects because it's interesting that many of the landscapers, their goal is actually to do a project quickly or to use the material that's available in the nurseries.
Mhm.
That may not necessarily be the right material that you want for a Florida friendly landscape. A
Okay.
Florida friendly simply means putting the right plant in the right place.
Okay.
And there's a couple different aspects to that. There's obviously the light requirements, there's the water requirements, there's the maintenance requirements. So you want to put like plants together. So one of the misnomers that people have for Florida Friendly is that, oh, I can't have any plants that need water. Well, that's not true. You can have plants that have water requirements. You just put them in one area together so that you can water them the same way and they get enough water.
I see.
And then the rest of the landscaping that doesn't need as much water, that has a different irrigation system on it so that it doesn't need to be watered as much. So that's one of the things that you really look for. One of the things that I also feel that is a key component to that is getting the right plant in terms of size, because one of the things that people ask for is low maintenance.
Mhm.
Well, low maintenance is one of the components is what do you have to do to it every week? And if you put a plant that wants to be 6 feet tall in front of the windows in front of your house, you're going to have to cut it every week or two. If you put the right plant in front of that window, you may have to cut it for shaping once or twice a year.
Mhm.
That's low maintenance. So that's kind of the different aspects to Florida Friendly. There are certainly plants that are native to Florida that you want to consider in that situation because they're used to the type of weather patterns that we have.
Mhm.
You know, you want to be concerned about frost tolerance. Unfortunately, in Tampa, we're just at the borderline of where some people want to put in some of the palms that we could put in if we were in Sarasota. We can't put in Tampa because we have threats of frost, and
Right.
they can cause some damage to the landscaping. So there's considerations in what makes sense for the area.
Okay, I got that. Again, we're speaking with Chris Hugus here on Go Mind Your Business, part of the All Your Business Radio here at the Talkwad Network. My name is Terry Bork. So, Chris, when folks are doing, or what do you exactly do when we call you up and we say, "Hey, can you come out?" What's like a process that you could walk us through so we know how to partner with you?
Oh, process. I love processes.
Yes.
um, I've kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but every project I have has 3 phases: a design phase,
Uh-huh.
a bidding phase, and a construction phase. And I'll work with the client on any single one of those phases or
Mhm.
all of them.
Right.
It's up to the client. But my first contact with a client is pretty much um, coming to their house, seeing what they're thinking about. I ask them a number of questions about how they want to use their space, um, what they're using it for currently, what some future uses may be. Maybe they're going to have grandchildren visit, or maybe they're getting rid of the kids, sending them off to college, and they want to make the space for themselves instead of the kids.
Right.
Maybe they like to entertain. Maybe they just want a great place to cook out and watch the game outside and enjoy the weather. Those are the kinds of questions I'll ask them. Once we have that initial meeting, I'll put together a proposal,
Mhm.
and that proposal will be for the design phase. And part of that design phase includes several meetings with them to make sure that we're on the same page. I put everything in my projects. I put into a computer-aided design CAD system because my engineering won't let me do it any other way. So I'll put that into a CAD system, and I'll present a first pass to the client. That's a good way where we can see what kinds of things we're doing, look at some different alternate ideas. Based on that, we'll then refine the design. Once we get to a final design where they're happy and I'm happy, and it does need to be both of us,
Right.
we're both happy with the design, then I'll put together a final package which has the drawings, an electronic version of the drawings, and the last thing I put together for them is a budget based on that design.
Mhm.
When I present that to them, we may break that into phases, whatever makes sense for their particular situation. I also, giving them the drawings and the electronic drawings, they could theoretically go out and, if they so choose, they could go out and give that to contractors. It has all the plant names, it has the quantities, has the spacing, has the positioning for all the plants, all the structures, anything like that is included in that package.
Mhm.
So that's the design phase. During the bidding phase, I will typically go out and get 3 bids for every component of the project.
Mhm.
And I actually like to break the project up into smaller pieces. So,
Sure.
a typical pool contract, if you go to a pool contractor, he'll give you the pool and he'll also give you a price for the decking.
Mhm.
And he may try to get in some other things as well into the project. Doesn't mean that they can't handle it. I think my personal philosophy is that I can get you a better value by breaking that into separate pieces. So I'll have the pool contractor actually build the pool, and then I'll turn around and get a paver contractor to do the decking.
Oh.
Um, I'm going to be there managing the project,
Mhm.
so it really has no impact on the client. But I think it gives me a better job. It also gives me better control of the quality on the project.
Sure.
So when I do a bid process for a project, I'll get multiple bids on every component. So I'll get multiple bids on the pool, multiple bids on the pavers, multiple bids on the landscaping, the lighting, irrigation, all the different components, whatever's in the project. And when I get those bids, not only am I getting the multiple bids, if I have never worked with the company, I'll check their references. I'll do everything that a homeowner would do if they had the time to do it the way you're supposed to do it.
Right.
So that's very helpful. It gives the client a level of confidence in terms of what's going to happen with the project. I'll then summarize the bids, make sure that they're consistent because quite often you'll get, contractor A will include this, this, and this in their project. Contractor B won't include A, B, and C, but they'll include C, D, and E. So I make sure that we're talking the same thing in terms of what the client is comparing things to.
Okay.
The contracts are actually made directly with the client.
Mhm.
So they actually will tell me who they want to work with.
Okay.
I'll certainly give them recommendations based on my past experience,
Uh-huh.
but they make the decision. Once we've got the bidding and the contracts awarded, then we'll go into the construction phase. During the construction phase, my goal is to be on the project site about 80% of the time that anything is being done.
Okay.
The idea there is that they're the contractors are going to be monitored a little bit better.
Mhm.
Most contractors are going to do a good job for you. If somebody's overseeing them, they're going to do a little bit better job for you.
Right.
They also, if they run into problems, instead of stopping and trying to figure out what to do, I'm right there on the project. I have a high level view of what the project is going to look like in total. So I can actually address the problems with the whole project in mind as opposed to we just need to get this done.
Right.
Also, I can be I can work preventatively as well. So if I see something happening that isn't what I expect, I can stop the contractor and talk to them about what my intent was with the actual design, and quite often we'll collaborate in that situation. So it's much easier for the contractor, and it's much easier for the homeowner. The homeowner doesn't have to get into these long conversations with the contractor.
Mm.
They don't have to be concerned about the contractor selling them other things that they don't necessarily need. I also work with the homeowners and the contractors to make sure that if any changes are required, that everybody is being represented in that process. So
Okay.
that's kind of what I'm going to do as part of the construction phase. I'm going to be there. I do a punch list at the end, and then as we talked about, I follow up with the maintenance agreements and the guarantees and things like that.
Oh, okay. So it's very comprehensive. So when we're hiring you to come out there, you're truly working for us
Oh
and
yes,
keeping that project on target, on budget, and moving forward to completion.
absolutely,
Awesome. Okay, that makes any project so much easier, having somebody who knows what they're doing and not having the project that never ends or
exactly.
the perfect dream and the start.
Yeah.
You know, my first husband was a starter. So it's very good to know that you're a finisher. That's awesome.
Yes, that's the goal.
That's
The
the
goal is
goal.
to get out of there.
Right? So you want to enjoy the yard. You just don't want a big mess back there. You want to be
Exactly.
spending time and enjoying your beautiful yardscape, if you will, and the reason why they hired you in the beginning. So awesome. Cool. Well, you're listening to Go Mind Your Business on All Your Business Radio, sponsored today by Extreme Marketing Concepts. Do you know what your clients and customers are saying about you online? If you don't, or if it's not all positive, you're going to want to give Extreme Marketing Concepts a call. They can help you set up a reputation management program for your industry, so that you can make sure when people are going to investigate you online, they're reading the positive reviews. And if they're not a positive review, you'll know how to address them so that you can turn the company around and make those reviews positive and grow your business. Extreme Marketing Concepts can be reached at 813-863-1452. We're going to take a quick break and bring you a commercial from from Extreme Marketing Concepts so we can pay our bills, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to Go Mind Your Business on All Your Business Radio, part of the TalkWad Network. My name is Terry Bork with Extreme Marketing Concepts, and I am speaking with Chris Hugas of Garden Living Design. If you'd like more information about Chris Hugas and his company, or to see some of the beautiful work that they've done and learn more about them, you can visit their website at www.gardenlivingdesign.com. And if you have any questions, Chris is located in the Tampa area, and you can reach him at 813-951-5380. So, Chris, let's go back to talking about your design work, and we're speaking with Chris about designing the yard that you truly wanted, so you can spend more time outside with your family in a space that you feel really comfortable in. Where do you get your inspiration for your projects?
Good question. I mean, I've traveled a lot during my life, and that's one of the things. I mean, you mentioned that in my introduction. I love to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, my wife and I have been trying to take at least one large trip a year.
Mm-hmm.
In the last few years, we've kind of made a point to go to Europe. That is a huge source of inspiration for both me and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So Italy, France. We've got hopefully planning a trip to England soon, Australia. Those are all places that are going to give me inspiration. I
Mm-hmm.
love to be outdoors. So just being outdoors rejuvenates me, renews me. So put me in a beautiful place, and it really creates inspiration as well. I also obviously subscribe to a lot of professional magazines and garden design magazines, horticulture magazines, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And I keep a hoard of those. I'm not quite a hoarder, but I've got a number of several piles of those magazines, and every once in a while I'll page through them, usually looking for specific things for a specific client.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll flip through them and dog ear some things that are of interest to me, or tag them with sticky notes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a huge inspiration. Also, just driving around the Tampa area,
Uh-huh.
there's lots of beautiful places, and it may just be one fountain or a group of plantings. It doesn't have to be an entire project that I would look at as an
Mm-hmm.
inspiration, but I'll see different things. I love to go to the botanical gardens.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah, that's one of the huge things that we like. We went to the Sarasota Botanical Gardens, the Marie Selby Gardens, a couple months ago, and truly inspirational.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
it's all around us, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and that's probably, I don't know. I go to the gardens, and I am not a plant person. I don't know if this is a watering plant or one that doesn't want water and brown thumb, but I try. But I get my inspiration where I be like, "Oh, I love this flower. I love this plant. I can take a picture of it, and I can come to you and say, you know what? I want to design something around this type of plant. What can we do, and how can we enhance that? Can you work
Exactly.
with me that way
Oh
a
yeah,
lot? Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Awesome.
I usually one of the questions I usually ask my clients when we start talking about plants is,
Hmm.
you know, what plants do you like, or what type of a look do you like? Do you want tropical? Do you want a more manicured look? You know, maybe you're from New Jersey like I am, and you want the New Jersey look.
Right.
We
New
can we
Jersey has a
can.
look.
Well, there's certain plants that were common in New Jersey,
Sure,
so
sure, sure.
there are kind of replacements for most areas of the country. You know, if
Right.
you liked a certain type of plant, we can find something that has a similar look. It may not be the same family, it may not be the same type of plant, may not even have the same type of flowers, but it may look like that plant or similar to that plant enough times during the year that it would kind of meet your requirements.
Oh, I got that. Okay. Now, I'm curious, Chris. How do you decide if a project's been successful for you?
Ah, I love that question. That's it's one of the things that kind of makes my job rewarding.
Uh-huh.
When I have a job that I finish, one of the most rewarding things I can get out of that job is when I go back a month or two later, and I find out that the homeowner's using that space exactly like we talked about.
Mhm.
They're using it every day. I had a client in South Tampa that we redid their pool. We put in an outdoor kitchen. We put in a fire pit. We actually redid the seawall and the dock, lots of different things. But um, they used that literally every day. They had parties almost every weekend. If they didn't have parties, their neighbors were asking them if they could have parties
Oh my
there.
goodness.
So it was a perfect situation. And to me, it wasn't the most extravagant project. There was a lot of components, but it was exactly what the client wanted. And, you know, the telltale sign of that was how much they used it. So
Mhm.
for me, that was an extremely successful project.
Oh, that's terrific. Is there anything that the homeowner really needs to consider when they're starting an outdoor project?
I mean, there's a lot of things that they should consider, but I think I would take it back to that master plan,
Uh-huh.
because you need to think about what you want overall in the project. Where do you want to head? You know, keep the end in mind. That's
Mhm.
always an important thing. Um, this this project I was telling you about in St. Pete, where we're probably going to replace the pool.
Mhm.
I talked to that client, and you know, their original idea was, oh, we just want to redo the pool, make it smaller. Um, but the more we talked, I realized that they're going to be there forever. I mean, they're a young couple.
Mhm.
Um, they they love being on the water. They love sitting out, having their coffee in the morning, entertaining friends. And this yard didn't accommodate that. That was one of the reasons they wanted to shrink the pool, because it really didn't accommodate the entertaining they wanted. They didn't get as much enjoyment out of the space that they could, because the pool was an awkward shape.
Mhm.
So the more we talked about it, the more I realized that, you know, the long-term plan here is you're going to be here for 30 years, 40 years. Why not take out the existing mishmash of things and actually put in something that's going to really make your life much more enjoyable, make your outdoor experience much more enjoyable.
Sure.
So that's kind of what we've done. So that master plan, you know, having that conversation about what do you really want, you know, how long are you going to live here, um, those kinds of questions are really important for homeowners to consider. Obviously funding is a big consideration,
Sure.
but like I said, that's one of the things I definitely do as part of that master plan is come up with a budget,
Mhm.
and we'll phase it if we need to. So maybe the most important thing to you is that pool, so we'll do the pool this year,
Right.
and maybe next year or 2 years down the road we'll put in that beautiful travertine deck.
Mhm.
You know, there's different things we can do. We can phase it so that each part of the project doesn't prevent us from doing something in the future. So
Mhm.
planning really is everything.
I see. Yeah, well, that makes sense, knowing that I don't have to do the whole thing at one time and I can phase it out and then I can know that, let me give you my ultimate vision for my yard. We'll do this, this, and this in a nice order so I can still work the property and then enjoy my pool. But
Exactly.
the next year, still have a workable space that I can play with until, finances again, because I don't always get that big bonus at
Yeah,
the end of the
well,
year.
and if you budget for something,
Mhm.
then you're already ready for it when it's time to
Right.
do it, and we can just move right forward. It's really helpful to do it that way.
Oh, that's fantastic. Cool. Again, we're speaking with Chris Hughes of Garden Living Design. If you have any questions about landscaping or what would work in your yard, large or small, you can reach him at 813-951-5380. Or you can visit his website, www.gardenlivingdesign.com. Chris, on your website, do you have samples of some projects that you've done that really stand out to you as awesome?
I do. I have a number of the projects that we've talked about here today.
Uh-huh.
I've got pictures of some of those projects. Um, I try to include kind of examples of different types of projects. A small project in South Tampa, a larger project which is more comprehensive. Um, I've tried to include a little bit more of a varied
Mhm.
sampling of some of my projects, and I try to update that relatively regularly. I'm not quite as good at that as I
Mhm.
should be. Maybe I should find a good website designer to help me with that.
Uh-huh. There you go. Okay, well, that's great. And again, because you're going to be on site working through my project, I, if I'm not home during the day or if I travel a lot or I'm working during the day, it's okay because you're going to be there to make sure that, it's completed to fruition and they're not goofing off or, just having lunch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's actually the perfect client for me. Somebody who, again, is too busy to do it.
Mhm.
Everybody's got a life they need to live, a job
Mhm.
that they need to perform, or maybe you need to travel a lot, which, those are going to keep you away from the house to actually see what's happening. I make sure that I'm there so that you don't have to worry about it. I'm the single point of contact. I actually advise my clients not to deal with the contractors directly because I know the full scope of the project.
Right.
So
Okay.
they just have to deal with me. It makes their interactions a lot more simple. And we do develop a relationship. Like I said, my projects take 6 months to a year. I end up being friends with most of my clients, and we have a relationship where we can actually trust each other, and they end up calling me whenever to
Mhm.
find out things, what's going on, or I'll send them pictures or whatever it takes to make them feel comfortable. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, fantastic, great. And if somebody's working with a regular landscaper or someone who's coming out to cut the grass all the time, and you go out and you say, I'm really thinking about, changing some of these shrubs or putting in a different landscape. You can work with that landscaper and try to plan what's right, see what the soil type is, if it's wet, a wet area or dry area, and just kind of coordinate all those efforts with the
Absolutely.
landscaper.
I'll work with if they're interested in working with their existing landscaper, or maybe they have a contractor that they really like. I'll work with them. I'll coordinate with them. Um, we'll collaborate together if we need to,
Hmm.
which works really well because they actually may have some insights as to the maintenance issues on the property. So that actually helps me and it helps the client,
Hmm.
and it actually can help them in the end too from a maintenance perspective.
Sure.
So I actually welcome that kind of collaboration and interaction.
Cool. And then I just want to just touch on your service area.
Hmm.
I know you're located central here in Tampa. Where do you go? How far down? How far up? Over? I mean, you can
Uh,
only go so far to the water, but
yes, it really depends on the project.
okay,
I really kind of judge my range by the project.
sure.
Um, my typical range is probably Pinellas and Hillsborough counties.
Uh huh.
Um, I typically will stay away from the southeast side of Tampa just because it's more difficult for me to get there.
Got it.
Again, one of my key services is to be there on site when the construction happens.
Hmm.
And simply because of traffic issues getting across Tampa down to the southeast side from Carrollwood area. That's a challenge. So it's not my first choice of where I'm going to do projects. But for the right project, I would definitely make it work.
Sure. Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's typically Pinellas. I'm doing a project down in St. Pete Beach right now.
Right.
I've done projects in Pasco County as well, up in Land O'Lakes area and above that. So I have a pretty broad range that I'll work, but
Okay.
it's really more about the project.
Okay, perfect. I get that. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience today before we have to go?
I think we've covered most of it. I
Okay.
really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and I really have enjoyed today. And thank you for having me and asking me some great questions.
Oh, great. Well, I am so glad to have had you, especially at this time of year. Well, any time of year would be a great time to have you, but especially
Exactly.
right now when people are planning and the weather is perfect, it makes you go outside and go, oh, we got to do something finally with our yard.
Yep.
This is the time. So don't hold back. Give Chris a call. You can reach him at 813-951-5380. You can visit his website at www.gardenlivingdesign.com.
Actually, Terry, it's
Yes.
designs with an
Designs,
S.
excuse me,
That's
with an
a common
S.
mistake.
Oh my gosh. So let's do that again. You can go to his website at www.gardenlivingdesigns.com
Yes.
and you can call him at 813-951-5380. My name is Terry Bork, and I am with Extreme Marketing Concepts. We're putting you in front of the hungry herd of buyers who are looking for your business right now. Looking to get seen online, give us a call at 813-863-1452. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today on Go Mind Your Business, part of the Talkwad Radio Network. Check out some of their shows at www.talkwad.com. We will see you next time on our program, and until then, go mind your business. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Go Mind Your Business with Terry Bork, presented by Extreme Marketing Concepts. If you want to drive more traffic, dominate the market, and crush your competition, find out how by visiting our website, www.extrememarketingconcepts.com. And join Terry next time for another episode of Go Mind Your Business.